and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to listen to us today. The Carbon Trust cares about the environment and the rapid depletion of the resources on our planet, and also at the same time for feeding our rapidly growing population, making sure that they're educated and housed. And I know our sponsors today share that concern. The organisations of today's conference share that concern, so it's very pleasing for me to come and talk to you on that particular subject. In London, we have 155 people, all experts in resource management and resource efficiency, and we've had the great privilege of working with a number of the organisations here today. So I'm going to try not to duplicate on what a lot of you already know, but I do just want to draw your attention to some of the themes around this area in the industry and bring to you a call to action for taking some action on some of the challenges that we face. I'd like to start just by asking everybody a very simple question. How many people in this room know what their organisation spends on energy in a year, within the nearest £10,000? Okay, 6. How many know how much they spend on water within their organisation in any 1 year, within the nearest £10,000? Okay, 5. How many people know how much they spend on waste in a year in their organisation within £10,000? 5, brilliantly, some of them are the same 5. Put those 3 together, and I wonder how many of you know how much you spend on the energy that's embodied in the water that you use and in the waste that you produce. 1. Okay, interesting. Thank you. Congratulations. I want to draw your attention to the true costs of some of these resources. A tonne of carbon is typically costing your organisation £200 if it's derived from electricity, upwards of £340, £350 if it's derived from diesel. So carbon emissions matter in terms of the efficiency of your business. A cubic metre of water is costing you, in terms of raw materials supply, somewhere between £1 and £6 on a unit measured basis. But when you use that water in your business, you heat it, you cool it, you pump it, it can be costing you anywhere up to £50 per cubic metre, depending on what you do with it. And if you then include the true cost of those processes, it can be costing you upwards of a couple of £100 if you're, for example, taking that water up to steam and then condensing that back to liquid. And if you're producing waste on a full life cycle basis, a tonne of waste might be costing you upwards of £500 per tonne, just because of the embodied cost, the embodied energy, the embodied emissions. So throughout your business system, the resources that you consume are costing you a vast amount of money, and you probably don't know what it's truly costing you. Part of what the Carbon Trust is about is helping organisations understand those true costs and managing those down. I mentioned at the start our concern is about resource efficiency, where we've got a growing population. We cannot continue to reuse resources at the rate we're currently using them, and we work with organisations like yours to make sure that we understand those true costs, we reduce them and we minimise them. Certification is part of what we do, but the certification process is a key part of us helping you make sure you can measure your resource consumption, measure your resource use, and manage that down. It's part of a process of measure, manage, reduce that we work through with all of our client organisations and help you capture those efficiencies, pass those on to your customers and your shareholders, make your business more efficient, and communicate your resource efficiency credentials to customers. So the benefits here are around capturing efficiency, being compliant, and we build into our certification compliance mechanisms with things like mandatory carbon reporting and the new government ESOS scheme, and fundamentally about enhancing your reputation with stakeholders and with your customers, and crucially with your suppliers and the customers within your supply chain, because increasingly buyers want to know what their suppliers are doing. It helps mitigate risk, helps mitigate exposure, and help ensure that the value is captured within the supply chain. Consumers care a bit about this as well, and I'm not going to burden you with too much market research. I know we all know take market research with a little bit of a pinch of salt, but the key one here is bottom left, that 75% of consumers say that they don't think it's enough that organisations say they are responsible. They want it to be proven to them, and through certification we provide you with part of that proof set. So in terms of efficiency, we focus on making sure organisations understand their true costs and capture their true economic benefits. Whether that's £200 per tonne of carbon, £500 per tonne of waste, understanding the quantities, quantifying the figures, managing the reductions and delivering the implementation solutions. We concentrate on communicating the credentials of the findings of that kind of a process, but most importantly through to your customers and your suppliers. And we enable compliance with key regulatory mechanisms focused on doing precisely that in the UK market and internationally. We do that across the whole supply chain, and it's vital that you do that through your supply chain because a lot of your true carbon, waste and water costs are actually embedded in your suppliers, not in your own organisation. In fact, the majority of resource consumption for most organisations in their finished products and services comes from the upstream supply, not within the organisation that's doing the production. And yet very few organisations really understand the true life cycle cost of those resources. We do this at two levels. The Carbon Trust Standard certifies whole organisations within the organisational boundary and the footprint of that organisation, looking at carbon, water and waste use. And we do it with products, looking at whole product life cycles, all the way from upstream production of, say, agricultural material or mined metals, all the way through to downstream consumption and finished product waste and recycling. And by taking that whole supply chain approach, we really capture where value is added and lost within your supply chain and help you tap into it and maximise the benefit of that for your business. So some examples I just want to highlight to you. John has just mentioned to you the great work that ABP has done. I feel I might be in a little bit of a better position to blow John's trumpet for him because we did the certification and we can talk with an independent view about what ABP has really achieved. And they've done a fantastic amount of work in all of these three key areas. So they've reduced their CO2 emissions 4.4% on a year-on-year basis, so nearly 7,000 tonnes of CO2. They've reduced their waste output by 10%, 6,500 tonnes of waste. And they've cut their water usage by 7%, 133,000 cubic metres of waste. And all of that is delivering efficiency throughout the business within ABP, helping the business serve its customers better, helping it serve its stakeholders and its communities better. And the way that's been achieved has really been through two key areas of activity. One is inevitably investment, and there's a fantastic array of technologies and equipment outside in the demonstration area for you today to see just how investment can capture real economic benefits through value chain efficiency. And our experience is that a lot of these investments achieve real payback, often in 2 to 4 years. In fact, most low carbon investments that we get involved in are delivering payback in that kind of time frame, because energy is expensive, water is expensive, waste is expensive, and these technologies help you capture the benefit of that. But the other thing that ABP have done really well is staff engagement. Getting everybody involved in delivering these kind of outcomes, understanding the issues that are at stake, understanding the costs that are involved, and engaging people in delivering the change that matters within the business and enabling those changes and the benefits of those changes to be passed on to customers. I'm going to whiz you through a couple of very quick other examples and then conclude. Whitbread was the first organisation to achieve the Carbon Trust Standard for carbon, water and waste. Again, a phenomenal track record in investment in the business, staff engagement, and crucially, aligning suppliers with the value propositions of their businesses to make sure that recycling, resource efficiency and asset use efficiency is really captured within the business. Marks & Spencer were the first retail company to certify to the Carbon Trust Standard for carbon, water and waste. And their Plan A, I'm sure you know a great deal about. They've been absolutely focused throughout the organisation on delivering these kind of material reductions and making sure that those are understood both within the business and within their key stakeholder groups. Bord Bia, the Irish Food Board, has been one of the organisations to pioneer the certification of multi-use models for carbon and energy efficiency to enable the agricultural industry to tap into areas of efficiency gain to make sure that the whole supply chain model is efficient. Kingsmill has certified the product carbon footprint of its bread in order to capture the economic efficiencies of upstream production as well as the efficiencies within their own organisation, and pass those benefits on to consumers, both in terms of the economics of that product but also in terms of the sustainable development credentials and the reassurance that Kingsmill is managing its supply chain appropriately. Coca-Cola Enterprises, clearly its product is very much dependent upon water, and it is probably one of the most water efficient businesses in the country and indeed in Europe, and was the first drinks company to certify to the Carbon Trust water standard in the first round of certifications that we did last year, and has demonstrated how through staff engagement and investment in water processing facilities, it can substantially reduce the water used to produce a single litre of Coca-Cola. And that figure has been reduced substantially now down to just 1.2 litres of water to deliver 1 litre of product, which is a fantastic achievement. And Portillo Bodegas Salatin in Argentina was the first Argentinian company to certify wine production to the Carbon Trust label, demonstrating their efficiency through to their UK customers. So they can see that these issues are taken very, very seriously in other markets around the world, and there's clear visibility on their sustainable development credentials. Branston is a potato supplier to many of the key retailers in the UK, and through certifying to the Carbon Trust water standard has delivered phenomenal reductions in total water consumption, around 60% in one particular plant, being efficient in its resource production but also making sure that those efficiencies are passed on to consumers. So that's a quick whiz through the kind of work that we get involved in and how organisations are capturing the benefits in terms of economic efficiency of resource management, and making sure that they truly understand how these issues of waste production, water use, energy consumption and greenhouse gas emission reduction knit together into a total economic proposition which enables investment, enables progression in the business, but also optimises resource use and efficiency and captures cost savings. It also enables those businesses to be compliant with European and UK regulations, and crucially it fundamentally enhances the reputation of the organisation with stakeholders, with staff and with customers. And I hope that quick whiz through that perspective on food and drink and how businesses can benefit from this approach is helpful to you today, and that you enjoy the rest of today. Thank you.